Hi Year 5, how are you? I'm here again, but today we're going to talk about a different subject. We're going to talk about science. Yes, I know you guys love science, but today we're going to learn a new content, so please pay attention. Are you ready? So, let's go! Okay, Year 5, so today we're going to learn about the use of materials. This is your new content of science. But to understand that, we need to learn some concepts, okay? The first one we need to learn is about matter. So matter is anything that takes up space, has mass, and it has properties that you can observe or describe. A matter is made of small particles that when put together, they create a physical object. They create an object. And all of them takes up space, has mass, and properties. So let's understand what mass means. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. For example, an object with a large mass feels heavy, while an object with a small mass feels light. So you simply can't tell how much mass an object has simply by looking at it. You need to measure it. For example, if we look at these two things, remember on? This one, and we compare it to this one here, can you tell which one has more mass just by looking at it? Can you? No, right? Because we need to measure it. So let's check this round first. Let me place it over here. Okay, so this round has 75 grams. 76, this side. Here, 76 grams. Let's check the other round. Let me try it. Let me place it right over here. Okay, this round has 61 grams. Okay, so by that, we can tell that this round has more mass than this round. Okay? Just by looking at it, you cannot tell, but we used a scale, so now we can say for sure. Okay? Now that we understood the concept of matter, mass, and volume, we can go to the concept of property. So property is something special about an object that it makes it what it is. It is its characteristics. Each type of matter has its own physical properties, which makes them different from other types of matter. Physical properties can be measured or observed. Okay, to summarize, matter is anything that, first of all, takes up space, which means the volume. This one you can identify simply by looking at it. If it's bigger, it has more volume. If it's smaller, it has less. Second of all, it has mass. It means how much it weighs. So in this case, you need to measure with a scale or something else to identify which object has more mass. And number 3, its properties, which means its characteristics. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about the types of materials. If you look around yourself, you can find many objects. Those objects are made of different materials. We divide the materials into natural materials and artificial or man-made materials. Okay? The natural materials are those we can find in nature. They can be of vegetable, which means those are materials that come from plants. An example is the wood and the cotton. Or they can be from an animal. For example, the leather, the silk, or the wool. And the last one is when a material comes from a mineral source, which means it comes from a rock and minerals. And an example is the marble. Remember we talked about the marble? And the iron. We have the artificial or man-made materials. Those are made by people using natural materials. So, the man collects some natural resources, one of those here, to produce new materials. For example, we have the paper, we have the plastic, we have the glass, and so on. All those materials are produced by man using those natural resources, okay? Remember we talked about property. The property is the characteristic of an object. Is something special about the object. So when we are talking about the properties of the materials, we are thinking about what is the material like. And also it tells us how to use this specific material. Some of those properties are the strength. Strong materials, very, very strong ones that can support heavy weight without breaking. Another one is the fragility. Fragility are pretty much the opposite of this one. They are fragile materials, like a glass that can break easily. Another one is the flexibility. Flexibility are materials that you can shape. For example, this toy here, you can see how flexible it is. See? This is very flexible. And another one, it's the transparency. Transparency is very easy. They are transparent materials, like this glass over here. You can see through it, right? Now that we understood the properties of the materials, it's important for us to think about how we're going to use those materials. First, let's think about this. If you want to produce an object, what do you need to do? You need to think, which materials are you going to use so that object can fulfill its function? Okay? So, what do you need to think? First of all, you need to choose the appropriate material. Okay? You need to think about its properties and choose the one that is appropriate for its function. Number two, you need to think of an object that will allow your object to fulfill its function. Okay? Now let's think together about an object and the property of the materials that we need to build one. T-shirt. If you are producing a t-shirt, what is the function of this object? Okay, it's something that you need to wear. Okay, for that, we need a flexible material. Agreed? Because if you're wearing it, it needs to be flexible. But also, do you want your t-shirt to rip or to get destroyed? No, so also we need a strong material because we want our t-shirts to last, right? So what material are we talking about here? Let's see, we can say that we're talking about the cotton. right? Many t-shirts are made of cotton. Or also we can talk about the wool.
So that was it. Did you understand everything? Did you see how important it is for us to think about the properties of the materials? I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye!